Welcome to JoyTube, where the truth comes alive. In this channel, we explain the ancient texts and biblical stories like no other. If you are new here, please subscribe and hit the notification button so that you don't miss out on our epic journey in the ancient times and to discover how it affects you and your existence and your relationship with your Creator. Today we're looking at the life of a general who was powerful but broken. This is no other than Naaman, a general in the Syrian army. Imagine being the most powerful general in your nation, feared by enemies, respected by kings, but powerless against one silent, creeping disease, leprosy. What would you give for a cure? What would you risk for a miracle? What if the cure wasn't gold, wasn't royal medicine, but a humiliating dip in a muddy river? Would you obey? 1. The powerful but broken man. Naaman, commander of Aram's army, victorious, wealthy, influential. But under all that glory, he has leprosy. Pride plus shame. Lesson: even the strongest among us carry hidden battles. Naaman was the commander of the army of Aram, Syria. He had everything a man could want. 1. Power, second only to the king. 2. Wealth, access to treasures, gold, silver. 3. Reputation, celebrated victories, armies obeyed him. 4. Connections, his words reached kings and prophets alike. But beneath the polished armor and outward strength was a hidden shame, leprosy. In that culture, leprosy was devastating, unclean, incurable, isolating. So here is the paradox. A man great in the eyes of the world, but carrying a private wound he could not heal or hide forever. Contemporary parallel. This is where the story leaps into our time. 1. The CEO with anxiety runs a company worth billions, but cries alone at night from stress and loneliness. 2. The influencer with depression smiles before millions online but collapses when the camera switches off. 3. The politician with addiction holds rallies, commands crowds, but is enslaved to secret vices. 4. The pastor with silent doubts preaches faith every Sunday yet battles despair when no one is watching. Naaman represents all of us who are successful on the outside but broken within. Why this matters today. 1. Hidden leprosy equals hidden struggles. Today's leprosy may not be a skin disease. It could be shame, trauma, lust, addiction, unforgiveness, family wounds. No amount of wealth, titles, or applause can cover the soul's leprosy. 2. Armor versus authenticity. Just as Naaman's armor covered his spots, many of us wear armor today. Makeup, designer suits, social media filters, big smiles, even religious masks. But beneath the armor, the brokenness still spreads. 3. God sees beyond the armor. People only saw Naaman's victories. God saw his vulnerability. Same today, people celebrate your highlight reel, but God deals with your hidden battles. Naaman was a warrior, a commander, a man the king himself leaned on. But beneath the medals, beneath the armor, he carried a secret shame. Leprosy. Isn't that like us? We post our victories, our promotions, our best selfies. But behind closed doors, many of us wrestle with battles no one sees. Anxiety, broken marriages, hidden addictions. Naaman teaches us a powerful truth. No matter how strong you look, you still need God's healing touch. 2. The voice of the small. A captive servant girl from Israel tells Naaman's wife, "If only my master would see the prophet in Samaria." Lesson: sometimes the smallest voices carry the key to the greatest breakthroughs. This girl was nameless, voiceless, powerless in the world's eyes. She had been taken captive in war. She was a foreigner, a slave, a child. By every measure of society, her words should not matter. Yet she carried the seed of Naaman's miracle. She tells her mistress, Naaman's wife, "If only my master would see the prophet in Samaria, he would cure him of his leprosy." 2 Kings chapter 5 verse 3. Her sentence sounds simple, but it was the turning point. Without her whisper, Naaman would never have gone to Israel, never have met Elisha, never have been healed. This still happens today. A child speaks truth. Sometimes a little child says something so innocent it pierces adult hearts more deeply than any sermon. An employee gives an idea. A junior staff member offers a suggestion that saves a company millions, while the executives were overcomplicating things. A quiet friend advises, the person with no fame or platform gives counsel that prevents disaster. A stranger's word, someone you meet briefly, an Uber driver, a shop cashier, says something that stays with you and shifts your life direction. The world trains us to only listen to the loud, famous, credentialed voices. But God often hides his answers in the mouths of the overlooked, underestimated, and unheard. Why this matters today. 1. Divine strategy. God uses the foolish things to shame the wise. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 verse 27. Breakthroughs rarely come from where we expect. 2. Pay attention to the lowly. Dismissing people because they lack status can cost us miracles. Naaman nearly missed his healing because he could have said, "What does a slave girl know?" 3. God honors humility. The ability to listen to small voices is a test of humility. Greatness is not measured only in power, but in the willingness to learn from the least. The smallest voice might carry your biggest breakthrough. A. That word of encouragement from a child. B. That scripture your grandmother keeps quoting. C. That advice from someone with no degree, but with lived wisdom. D. That prompting in your spirit that seems small but is God whispering. Naaman's miracle didn't begin with the king. It didn't begin with an army. It didn't even begin with the prophet Elisha. It began with a nameless servant girl, a child in captivity. Her whisper was worth more than all the gold Naaman carried. And maybe that's the message for us. Don't ignore the small voices. Don't despise the overlooked people. Because sometimes, the word that saves your life comes from the place you least expect. 3. The misplaced expectations. A. Naaman arrives with horses, chariots, silver, and gold. B. He expects the prophet Elisha to perform rituals, wave hands, do something dramatic. C. Instead, Elisha doesn't even come out, just sends a message. Go wash yourself 7 times in the Jordan. D. Lesson. God's answers often offend our pride before they heal our wounds. This offends Naaman deeply. In his mind, I came all this way for this. I thought he would honor me with a ceremony worthy of my status. At least give me something that matches the gold and gifts I brought. His pride collides with God's simplicity. This is not just Naaman's issue, it's ours today. 1. We expect God in the dramatic. We want burning bush moments, thunder from heaven, instant miracles. But God often speaks in a gentle whisper, 1 Kings 19 verse 12. Many miss his voice because they are waiting for fireworks while he's speaking in silence. 2. We expect solutions that match our status. The rich man wants a rich man's cure. The educated person wants an intellectual answer. The influencer wants something glamorous. But God may say, forgive that person. Pray quietly. Dip in this muddy river. 3. We expect transaction, not grace. Naaman brought silver, gold, and clothes, ready to pay for healing. Today, people try to pay with good deeds, connections, or bargaining. But God's blessings are not for sale. They come through obedience and humility. Why this matters today. 1. Pride blinds us to God's simplicity. We think, surely God wouldn't work through something this ordinary. Yet Jesus healed with mud, spit, or a simple command. 2. Offense blocks breakthrough. Naaman almost went home angry, still a leper. Today, many walk away from church, prayer, or advice because it didn't match their expectation. 3. Faith is tested in the ordinary. Will you obey when the instruction seems beneath you? Will you humble yourself to do the small thing that unlocks the big miracle? God's answers often offend our pride before they heal our wounds. The advice may sound too simple. Pray, forgive, rest, say sorry, trust. The method may feel beneath you, wash in the muddy Jordan. The messenger may not impress you. Elisha didn't even come out. But if we reject God's simplicity, we reject his power. Naaman came with silver, gold, and soldiers. He expected fireworks. But Elisha didn't even open the door. No hand-waving, no ritual, just a message, go dip yourself in the Jordan. Naaman was furious. Isn't that us? We expect God to answer in grand, dramatic ways. But often his answers are quiet, ordinary, even offensive to our pride. Forgive, pray, dip in the river, and many of us walk away still carrying our leprosy because we were too proud to obey this simple word. Remember this, God's instructions may not always flatter your pride, but they will always heal your wounds. 4. The rage and the choice. Naaman furious, aren't the rivers of Damascus better than this muddy Jordan? He turns away in anger, but his servants reason, if he asked for something great, you'd do it. Why not try this small thing? Breakthrough often lies in simple obedience, not grand gestures. Naaman is offended. He expected a prophet's performance, not a humiliating errand. His exact words drip with pride and insult. Are not Abana and Pharpar, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Couldn't I wash in them and be cleansed? 2 Kings chapter 5 verse 12. In his fury, he turns away. He's ready to abandon the miracle that could save his life. But then come the servants, the same small voices again. They gently reason. My father, if the prophet had told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then, when he tells you, wash and be cleansed? That moment forces Naaman to face his pride. Either cling to ego and return home a leper, or humble himself and obey. We do the same today. 1. We prefer the spectacular. If God asked us to climb a mountain, give millions, fast 100 days, we might do it proudly. But when he says, be still, forgive your enemy, pray quietly, trust me, we resist because it feels too small. 2. We compare our Jordans, like Naaman comparing rivers. We compare methods. Why this church? Why this prayer? Why this simple act when I could do something grander? We want a solution that looks sophisticated, glamorous, or matches our status. 3. We walk away angry, many times from God because his ways don't fit our expectations. Instead of yielding, we storm off, still carrying the same burdens. Why this matters today? 1. Pride is the last barrier before breakthrough. Naaman's anger was really about pride. He thought, this is beneath me. Many today miss healing, restoration, or peace because obedience feels humiliating. 2. The test of obedience is small, not great. We want to prove ourselves with huge acts. But God often asks for small daily obedience. Apologize, stay faithful, give quietly, dip in the muddy water. 3. Servants of reason. God still sends people who say, why not obey? What do you lose by trying? Wisdom often comes from humble voices reminding us not to walk away in anger. Breakthrough often lies in simple obedience, not grand gestures. The miracle was not in the Jordan itself, but in Naaman's willingness to obey the simple word. Our biggest change may come not from massive sacrifices, but from daily steps of humility and trust. Naaman was furious. The rivers of Damascus are better than this muddy Jordan. And in anger, he turned away. Isn't that how we react? When God's way feels too small, too ordinary, too humbling, we storm off. We'd rather do something grand to prove our worth than obey something simple that tests our pride. But listen, the miracle wasn't in the river, it was in the obedience. And sometimes, the only thing standing between you and your healing is your pride. Because breakthrough doesn't come through grand gestures, it comes through simple obedience. 5. The humbling and the healing. Naaman dips once, twice, 7 times. The 7th time, his skin becomes like a child's, fresh, new, alive. When pride bows, grace flows. True healing is not just skin deep, it transforms the heart. Naaman finally listens to his servants. He removes the armor, the medals, the robes, all the coverings of status. He steps into the muddy Jordan, the river he once despised. He dips once, nothing. Twice, still the same. 3, 4, 5, 6 times, no change. But on the 7th dip, God's number of completion, the miracle breaks forth. His flesh was restored and became clean like that of a young boy. 2 Kings chapter 5 verse 14. This wasn't just about skin. This was about submission, humility, and inner transformation. This moment mirrors what happens in our lives today. 1. You can't keep the armor on in God's presence. Before dipping, Naaman had to strip off the armor, the image, the prestige, the mask. Today, healing still requires vulnerability. You cannot bring your Instagram filters, your titles, or your pride into God's river. 2. Obedience may feel repetitive or useless. Imagine the frustration. Dip 1, nothing. Dip 2, nothing. Many of us give up when obedience doesn't show instant results. We quit praying, serving, or forgiving too soon. But sometimes, the blessing only comes on the 7th dip, at the point of persistence. 3. Healing is more than surface level. God didn't just give Naaman new skin. He gave him a new spirit. He returned to Elisha not only cleansed but humbled, declaring, "Now I know there is no God in all the world except in Israel." Verse 15. Today, true healing is not just financial recovery, physical healing, or emotional relief. It is transformation that changes your faith and your perspective. Why this matters today. 1. Grace flows where pride bows. Pride blocks grace. James chapter 4 verse 6. The moment Naaman bowed to obedience, God's power flowed freely. 2. God heals the root, not just the symptom. Naaman didn't just lose leprosy, he lost arrogance. Many of us want external solutions but resist the inner change God is after. 3. Completion requires consistency. If Naaman had stopped at the 6th dip, he would have gone home unchanged. Our breakthroughs require consistent obedience, not one-time acts. When pride bows, grace flows. True healing is not just skin deep, it transforms the heart. God is not just interested in fixing your situation, He wants to remake you from the inside out. The external miracle often follows the internal surrender. Naaman steps into the Jordan. 1 dip, nothing. 2 dips, no change. 3, 4, 5, 6, still the same. Many of us would have quit. But at the 7th dip, the power of God breaks through. His skin becomes like that of a child, fresh, new, alive. And here's the truth. Healing doesn't come until pride bows. Because grace flows into humble hearts. Naaman didn't just get new skin, he got a new spirit. That's what God still does today. He doesn't just heal bodies, he transforms lives. Naaman almost missed his miracle because of pride. What about you? Sometimes God's answer doesn't look glamorous. It might look foolish, too simple, too small. But hidden in obedience is your breakthrough. Don't let pride rob you of healing. Don't let expectations blind you to God's direction. Maybe your Jordan River is forgiveness. Maybe it's prayer. Maybe it's humbling yourself. Will you step into the water today? Because the God who turned a leper's shame into fresh skin is still in the business of turning broken lives into new creations. If this video enlightened you, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to JoyTube, and thanks for watching.